We still don't have an intro, what do you know? But that's not gonna stop us from starting the show. Somebody could make something better than this, but this is what you get in the meantime. Take it away. Hey, welcome everybody to a show I probably look like I'm hiding in a closet, but I've come out long ago. So now I'm just hiding in a physical, literal closet. We are live and in your shorts feed now as the other show starts to wrap up. I don't know if they already have wrapped. People in the live chat can let us know. I am coming to you from a remote location because the water main at my home decided to blow. So I am elsewhere. But I'm joined today by Austin Archer. Austin, how are you doing? How are you feeling? How are you recovering? What's going on?
I'm doing all right. I think I'm gonna try to, if you don't mind, I'm gonna pitch I'm gonna write something after we're done with this and send you over a possible intro song for this new vertical show. I'll send you just a tune, just a tune. It doesn't need to be words or anything. Just a little. I'll send you something because I like doing that. It's fun. Yeah.
Our thought is.
Yeah, what's the thought?
Our thought is that, so in the description, there's a link to qnaline.com/CIN intro, and we're accepting proposals for the graphic side, potentially the audio side too, but we're telling people like where they need to, for like what the graphics of a 10 to 15 second intro, we're going to pay somebody from the audience to make something. We're still accepting proposals for those who want to. And then we were thinking for the audio, we would let fans just submit their own like fan made dumb shit like the way I've been or something. We're not fully honed in on something, but it all sounds fun.
That's fun too. For years, Jake and Amir, I don't remember, you remember Jake and Amir from like the College Humor days, but they had a podcast called If I Were You, and they would let fans do the theme song every week on the show. So every week had a new theme song, and it was always like written by somebody in the audience. And I was a big fan of the show, and I got 3 of my fan theme songs on the show, and I was very proud of that in my 20s. Yeah. I am recovered. I had an appendectomy a few weeks ago, and I am recovering okay. Surgery is a motherfucker, I'll tell you. I did not know. This is my first time having like laparoscopic outpatient surgery, and I didn't know that like you walk around for several weeks being like, oh, it feels like I got stabbed in the stomach several times. It's like, because I did. And yeah.
That's how it works. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've had it a few times. I think if I could go back, there are a few things like when people ask me about like getting their own surgeries that I always recommend. One of them, highly recommend that people request, if the doctor is comfortable with it, surgical glue over staples or stitches, because the scars heal 10 million times better. Like I have a few incisions you can't even tell were incisions because they were glue instead.
I've got the glue. I'm all glued up. What's weird though is that I guess I thought it would start to look better. It's been 3 weeks and it still just looks kind of like it did the first day. It's just like a blue and purple like little wound, and I'm like, oh, when is that gonna not look like that? But I guess it just takes
that can take a while. Yeah, especially on the abdomen, those things cut. Your healing time may vary. By the way, people who are wondering why we're here to talk to MAGA. Our claim today: Christianity and MAGA are destroying America. If you would like to call in opposition to that, we see that so far from the people who have polled in the chat, there's at least a few of you who say you support MAGA, and you can call in right now. The number is on the screen: 33654-32101. That is 33654-32101. If for some reason you need to call internationally, there is also a link down in the description to do a web caller. But for our Americans, we are going to stick to our phone calls. The other piece of advice, or not advice, but the next thing I want to try, I'm bound to need another surgery at some point. It'll probably be about a year from now. But the next time I'm going to be like, hey, so listen. Ketamine is an anesthetic. I'm just saying, put me under with ketamine, because I keep like almost trying ketamine therapy, where you go into a therapist's office once a week or something like that. You do like a guided meditation with just a small dose, and apparently it's done crazy things for people's neuroplasticity. But I don't want to go into a K-hole like Elon Musk. So anyway, I've thought about like supposedly there are people, and I've only heard these stories from other autistic people, but they were like, yeah, they put me out with ketamine when I broke a limb or something, and I swear my depression was like way better for a year after that. There's a lot of reports of that. So next time I need anesthetic, I'm asking for the ketamine dose, the one and done big boy.
It does. It's like you always want to, when you have to go in there and get something big done, you're like, is there anything else we can get taken care of while we're in there? Like
Yeah.
like they even saw, and I already knew this was a thing, but the surgeon was like, they did the CAT scan and she comes back. She's like, so you have appendicitis. We're going to need to take your appendix out tonight. I'm like, okay. And she's like, did you know you also have like a pretty big inguinal hernia? And I'm like, yeah, I know that. And I was like, can you fix the hernia while you're in there? And she's like, no, unfortunately, we can only do the one thing at a time. I'm like, why? Just, you're in there.
Insurance.
Yeah, you're just fix the hernia while you're in there. If I'm open and you're in there and you're going past the hernia to get to the appendix, you might as well just push that little hernia back in there. Just push it back in.
I just feel confident that the reason why they won't is insurance. You know what I mean? Like they're like, we can't because we'd have to bill it separately. So could we? And would it only take 2 more minutes? Yes. Will we? Depends on what your HMO says.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm having the really fun experience of doing this all uninsured. This is the first time I've been uninsured for about 8 years. And it happened right when I needed surgery. And it's really cool. Let me tell you, navigating the American healthcare industry uninsured right now. It's a adventure. It's really fun just seeing how they just make numbers up and they just go like, I don't know, what if it costs $70,000 to do that? And you're like, I don't think it does. And they're like, cool, but what if we give you a discount and it's only $30,000? It's like, I don't think it's $30,000 either. And don't like make me think you're doing me a favor by saying we could charge you, 70, but what if we only charge you 30? It's pretty wild. And to our point, I don't think that American conservatism and the American conservative ideology is helping with that at all. So if you're out there, if you're in our chat right now, if you're watching the show and you are pro MAGA and you feel like the big beautiful bill taking healthcare away from millions of people to pay for a White House ballroom and enrich billionaire oligarchs is good for the country, call the number. Look how fun that number is, 336-543-2101, and let us know about it.
Pretty good.
And tell us why we're wrong.
It's easy.
Yeah.
Guys, we're using easy numbers for you to remember, not woke numbers, okay?
Mm-hmm.
The thing I like the most about our call-in system, it's not woke. Don't you?
Yeah, really simple.
Don't you? Yeah.
3 plus 3 is 6. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, 1. That's it. And
then would you explain to me, because I assume you participated in it, knowing you and your background and everything, you were on the call, I assume, when Cracker Barrel was taking ideas, right? For what are we going to do? And when you were like, oh, guys, we have to go woke with this new logo. Mm-hmm. What specifically about this logo helped you sell it as woke?
Yeah, I was there and they said, please, we're trying to be woke. We know that all the money for Cracker Barrel in our future is in woke. So how do we do it? Because they had a bunch of like libbed out, micro influencers on the call. And I told them, I said, listen, it's real simple. Get rid of that old fuck on the logo and take away the barrel. And they said, why? What does that do? And I said, just changing things is woke. Okay. Changing things from what they used to be is woke. And they said, really? And I said, yeah, just don't worry about it. If it's different from what it once was, that's because of woke. So if Perry White, the editor-in-chief of the Daily Planet has been an old white guy in some comics, and now he's a black guy in a movie, that's because woke. because he's a different. He has more melanin in his skin in the movie than he did in the comic book, because woke. And so it doesn't. You don't even have to be saying anything political. It's just like, if it is different, then. Mm-hmm. And you know what's funny is, like, I actually do think that objectively it is a worse logo. Like, I think it's worse.
Yeah.
But I'm happy that it's woke.
I'm happy it's annoying people. I'm happy actually that they're kind of proving a point here. Look, we will take other debate points. If somebody can call in and unironically argue that it is in fact now a woke label, maybe there's something I didn't know about it, right? Maybe they weren't going to change it, but they hired a graphic artist who's a black trans lesbian woman, and they only changed it for her. If somebody has that kind of detail to let us know, I'll still engage it, because I'd still defend it even in that scenario. But I don't know of any. If you can defend that the new logo is woke, if you can defend that MAGA isn't destroying America, if you can defend that Christianity isn't destroying America, you should call in. And by the way, we have a new poll up, and the new poll is MAGA brave enough to call? That number, 33654-32101. And the 3%, which means at least 3 of you, said you're MAGA and you are willing to call. Did I miswrite it? And I wrote, I will to call? I did. I think I was going to put I will call or I am willing to call, but I'm producing 6 things remotely, remember, with a broken water main. So we gotta find out. Also, if you have been going to Cracker Barrel for a long time, wouldn't you embrace any kind of change, because it means there's a stark possibility that now the food might get good?
Absolutely fucking not. Change is the most deplorable thing that can ever happen to any institution, person, or idea or concept of what is, morally good and right in the world. And what I mean specifically by that is anything that changes from what it was when I was 10 years old. So it doesn't, like, obviously things were different before I was born, and I don't give a shit about that. Yeah. But anything that changes from what it was when I was 10 is the worst thing that's ever happened in the world. And I just, I agree with kind of the MAGA people in the audience, and I want them to, I'm not very eloquent, so I want them to call in and help me elucidate this point that I'm trying to make, that, like, it's not that change is bad. It's just that I liked the way things looked when I was 10, and when it looks different than that, I don't like it.
I feel like a scaredy. All I heard from that was that getting boners is woke.
Yeah.
And boners are woke. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I'm watching a really great show right now on Hulu, speaking of getting boners, and them being, like, bad and woke. There's a show on Hulu called Are You My First that is like Love Island, but it's just virgins. So it's all people who
people who say they're virgins. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And obviously it's populated with a lot of Mormons, because, like, if you're going to do a reality show and you need to get a bunch of, like, 24, 20 to 26-year-old virgins on your show, like, where better to look than Provo, Utah? And it is, like, I don't say this pejoratively at all, of course. Like, this is me not doing a bit anymore. This is just real. This is my actual opinion. I don't say this in a pejorative sense at all. It's just in a factual sense. Like, there are no fewer than 3 Mormon guys from Provo on the show who are so clearly queer, and the show just really frustrates me. But there's one girl on the show who's a virgin who does OnlyFans, and this guy, like, this Mormon gay guy, like, berates her, and he's like, well, I think that pornography is a poison in society and is ruining society, so I disagree with what you're choosing to do with your life. And I was like, and I keep yelling at the TV, like, your whole life is a lie. You are on a reality show pretending to be straight, a reality show that the goal of the show is for you to find someone to bone, and you're pretending to want to have sex with the women on the show. And I think it's offensive.
I think pornography is a poison, because I feel bad every time I look at it, which is a lot. It's always those people, like, on that Did you ever see Daniel's video where he went around and asked people like at BYU, would they rather watch porn or die an excruciating death? And all the guys said die an excruciating death, and all the girls were like, well, obviously watch porn.
Yeah, I keep telling my partner who was not raised LDS, I keep telling her while we watch the show, I'm like, I could almost guarantee with like 99% certainty that every one of these LDS guys self-identifies as having a porn addiction. Like for sure. Like if you got to like have like a really honest personal conversation with them, they'd be like, well, to be honest with you, I've kind of struggled with a porn addiction my whole life. And I am not saying that sex addiction is not a legitimate compulsion that some people struggle with to the degree that it is unmanageable and debilitating in their lives. I'm not making that claim. What I am saying is there are a lot of conservative Christian people who self-identify as having like a crippling addiction to pornography, when really it's like they watch porn like twice a year and they're like, I can't stop. And it's like, well, it's like, I don't know. It's like, I think you just want to jerk off because you're a human being and that's normal, but you've been raised to hate your natural impulses. If we're wrong about this, again, MAGA and Christians in the chat, let us know.
By the way, Mormonism isn't true. That's another claim we'll take on if anybody wants to call in on. I'm down.
Yeah.
I'm down for it. Mormonism's not true.
I was also like trying to explain like what bothers me about all of these closeted Mormon guys on this show, because there's this thing that people will say where it's just sort of like, who's it harming? Like, if they want to go on the show and pretend to be straight and like what, like let them do what they want to do. Let them live their lives. And I think that's the obvious, like, oh, sure. Like whatever. If everybody's consenting adults and they're all, cool. It's like the TLC show, My Husband's Not Gay, and all these Mormon women who are married to like gay Mormon men, but they're like, no, but my husband just struggles with SSA. He's not actually gay. And it's like, they're all consenting adults to this. My problem with it is knowing that culture, it normalizes this idea that it is possible to choose to like suppress your natural sexuality in favor of something that is looked more favorably upon by God. And that not only is that possible, but that it's healthy and that it's like good for both people in the relationship. Because to me, it's like, no, this is fundamentally dishonest, not only to yourself, but to your partner and to your community. And that dishonesty has harmful ripple effects.
They're being stupid about it in the first place, though, when they're like, especially the right-wing definition of when you are stopping somebody from doing something is ridiculous. What they consider censorship or whatever, where it's like, if somebody brings that to you, like, well, they're all consenting adults, why not just let them do what they're doing? It's like, did I stab one of them? No, I am also doing what I want to do, which is point out, let's not normalize this dog shit. Let's not support it. But I'm not going up and being like, oh, you're going to be on that show? Sorry, I murder those people. So my bad. I'm not advocating they be arrested. Go and get the little virgins, which if we can prove they are queer within a year or two, that would work. We could call Queer Ice on there. Wow, Queer Ice for the, there's a Queer Eye for the straight guy joke we could make about Queer Ice but we'll come back to people on it. Anyway, for the not nice, I don't know, something.
Yeah.
There's something.
Yeah, it's like, it's something about queer people who voted conservative and didn't think they would come for them, like the leopards that are eating the face party, like Queer Ice for the leopards eating my face guys. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And somewhere in the bit would be a joke about how Republicans are all furries because they are all dressed up as leopards now.
Yeah.
With a butt plug tail. Let's be sure. It's a complete costume. There is a tail inserted in their butt. People, this is very disappointing. Usually on a Sunday, we see some MAGA people try to call in and make a little bit of sense, but so far not so good. That number is 33654-32101. I know that you've probably heard we've already defeated all MAGA arguments and you're destined to lose, but you might be the exception. That's the only justification I can have for no one calling in, including the individuals who said that they would call in our poll here, which would be at least 7, 8 of you, coming up on 9. It looks like we have a call coming in, and we'll be hitting the screener. So we'll see who that is in a minute. But I would love it if the 8 or 9 of you who have said you will call in, you'd pick up that phone, call 33654-32101. And I would also love if any of the people who thought it would be funny to say they're MAGA and will call, even though they're not, but they're from our audience, just switch your vote there so we actually have an accurate representation.
Call in and get viral moment. Like, call in and get your Charlie Kirk on. Like, call in and dunk on us, because like this is going to live on the Jimmy's, when we're not going to edit this live stream. Like, this whole entire clip will live on Jimmy's page, and you can go back and watch it, and you can screen record the moment where you dunk on us, and you can go viral with it and be like, conservative Christian calls in and humiliates betas, 2 beta cucks.
Yeah. Do you like knowing that we're probably to the point where if we showed up to a Charlie Kirk event, we would be prohibited from walking to the microphone like he's done with other creators?
Yeah.
There's something nice about that.
That's kind of fun.
It's got to be, it is cute where he's like, oh, you know who I'll go argue with? A bunch of kids at a college who fundamentally won't know much about they won't know the particulars, a lot of the issues. But I got to make sure. Can you imagine how much more unfair our show would seem if it's like me, you, and the caller, and then we also have like 1,000 other Zoom windows open of people who are just going to cheer for whatever we say and are like, yeah, you fucking idiot, to the person in response. That's what if Charlie Kirk did this show, that's how it would have to go.
Did you see the South Park episode where Cartman was Charlie Kirk and also Craig was kind of Charlie Kirk? What I loved about that episode is when all of the right-wing podcasters thought that the episode was on their side, because Cartman's making the bad Charlie Kirk argument about abortion and being like, how come the person's charged for a double homicide when they have an abortion then? And it's like asking these like bad faith questions that people are like, what the fuck are you talking? And they're just sort of
owns liberal.
Right. But then Charlie Kirk and all these people were like, oh, cool, they're on our side. And I'm like, guys, in that episode, Kristi Noem has a face that is constantly ripping off of her skull and walking around independently from her skull because it has so much Botox in it that it has taken on its own sentience. And she's constantly going around shooting puppies in the face. And then we go to Mar-a-Lago, and Trump, who, by the way, is boyfriends with Satan, is walking around Mar-a-Lago, and there are couches everywhere that have holes ripped in them because it's implied that little J.D. Vance is fucking all of the couches at Mar-a-Lago. And you watched that episode of television and were like, they're on our side. They're on our team.
Yeah. I like when some of them start to get it and they start talking about how much they don't mind being made fun of, to the point where it's like, oh, once or twice, like, that's cool, taking it in stride. And then it's like, well, you've been talking for 18 hours straight about how you get the joke and it's totally cool with you. I'm starting to think it's not. But we have a caller ready to go. Why don't we talk to our first? We'll find out, first of all, Adam in Michigan. It's great to talk with you. You're on the line with Jimmy and Austin. I guess first things first, would you identify yourself as a member of MAGA, of Christianity? Where are you coming from?
I'm definitely a Christian. The MAGA thing I'm hit and miss with. I'm sort of politically homeless. But
okay. We could probably start with agreement then, see if that helps set the tone. All right, go ahead. Sure.
Okay, go ahead. No, I'm sorry, man.
I was going to suggest, why don't you tell us what some of the MAGA misses are? Maybe we can set a little tone of agreement to begin and see if that helps direct the rest of the calls. What are the things you would say MAGA is definitely missing on?
Probably Israel is one of them.
Yeah.
Probably one of them is Ukraine.
Yep.
And those are the two big ones that are sticking out to me right now.
Is the Epstein stuff bugging you?
Oh, yes. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah, that bothers me a lot. Yeah, that one pisses me off pretty bad. That
Good,
was
good.
essentially a Cain promise that he just, that he blew. And I have no problem saying any of this. I don't consider myself a Republican. I don't consider myself a Democrat. I consider myself somebody that tries to deal with things in, topic by topic. And what makes sense to me makes sense. What doesn't. So.
All right.
Cool.
So what then would be the thing that's sticking in your craw from us?
Well, so what I wanted to ask you guys, do you guys believe in having, let's say, just a standard, a moral individual standard for people? Do you think it's better that people have some form of individual moral standard versus not?
For sure. Absolutely. But, and obviously morality is subjective, and it's going to be defined based on the cultural practices that were normalized where you were raised, and the specific religious ideologies that were prominent around the area that you were raised. And those are going to sort of craft the way that you say.
I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt you.
I'm just saying, so it's hard to come up with like an objective line of like, this is what it should be. But I think that there are like a lot of things that people tend to just across the board agree on, where it's just sort of like basic human dignity, basic respect, trying to build a society that takes care of each other, that exists in a way that can help people who are underserved and underprivileged and societally and institutionally marginalized and things like that. But yeah, I think that if the question is like, do we have, or like, where do we get our moral framework from as atheists, we could go into that. Is that sort of where the question is leading?
Well, not exactly. I mean, we can go there too. I'm more than happy to dive into any of that with you guys. But where I was sort of going at was, if you have any type of moral standard, we as people, are you going to fall short of that time to time?
I think so. I think,
yeah, obviously. I'd also say, only as a note to what only a thing I would just kind of add to what Austin said is, for the most part, most people are going to be morally fine if they just fall back on empathy. But we can define a stronger moral standard and like talk about hypotheticals and philosophy and everything. But the average person is going to get through their day making moral decisions if empathy is the basis of their decisions.
I wouldn't even necessarily disagree with that. I would just say, when you put out a statement, something like Christianity destroying America, well, so what most Christians believe is that they have an objective moral standard that has been set, that they're attempting to hold themselves to. And generally speaking, this is a much higher standard than most of society offers. And generally speaking, when you see, and I'm not talking
define
about
higher.
I'm not talking about the weird offshoot. Well,
I need you to define higher, because higher sounds like superior, and I would disagree entirely if you mean superior.
Okay. Well, the reason why I would call it superior would be because it is objective, because they do believe that they're following an objective standard by a being that is the creator of them. But it doesn't matter if they
believe it's objective. It doesn't. It doesn't make it objective simply to believe it is.
Yeah, and you definitionally can't call something. You definitionally can't call something objective if it cannot be objectively agreed upon by even the people who believe in it. So, like, Christians can't, by and large, objectively agree on what that moral framework actually is. They all have different subjective opinions about interpretations of Bible verses, interpretations of dogma, interpretations of doctrine.
Sure.
So you definitionally can't call it objective.
Well, what I would say, when it comes to the objective moral standard, that's what Christ did when he broke down all of the commandments into two. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. So at least to me, as a Christian, that literally means Christ followers. So you're attempting to model yourself after the exemplar, which is Christ. So
Adam,
essentially,
that's
if you
actually
follow those
worse
two commandments, you're following all the others.
Those two commandments are actually worse than the ones before. Now, morally, you could say they're better from the secular humanist position, but as far as saying like If you're trying to say that objectively, that it's an objective truth, you're literally describing something that is subjective in the form of the commandment it is. Loving your neighbor is a thing as you would love yourself. First of all, the word love is ambiguous. So literally, Westboro Baptist Church can claim when they do extremely hateful things, they're doing it out of love. That if they were in this position, they would hope somebody who loved them would tell them they're going to hell and throw a bunch of slurs at them and all of that. You're literally talking about people then making judgment calls on what would love be, and not me and my neighbor have identical lives, but I have a different life from my neighbor. But here's what I think I would want if I was in their position, even if their position is something I could never understand. It is, in fact, the opposite of what would be good advice for how to treat somebody, because you don't. It's just like when I broke my leg years back. And one of the most annoying things that happened during it was about a week after I got home. And my doctor had already told me it was going to be at least a month before I could walk on it. Basically, anytime I would stand up, blood would pool in it, and I would get so much pain in my leg. About a week after that, where I'm nowhere close to ready to do it. No, I'm fine. This was like over a decade ago. But I'm only a week into that. I'm staying at my girlfriend's family's house. I'm 21, so it's like 14 years ago. Staying at my girlfriend's family's house, and I'm having to take like Percocet to stay out of pain and everything. And my girlfriend's mom comes in and lectures me on how if she had lost her leg, she'd have taken the weekend and then been back to it. And she'd be driving with her left leg and she'd be going out. And it's literally like, no, you wouldn't. And you're only saying this because you don't know what my experience actually is. And that is such a dumb thing to claim. But I was very, polite and everything. And then eventually just went back to my apartment because I didn't want to be around her anymore. Anyway, that is what I'm talking about when it's like giving people these like judgment calls that I'm going to decide is why we see so many Christians people, not just their ideology vary, how they treat other people and what they describe as treating somebody in love, with love, looks like.
Well, so because you're a Christian, because you have a standard, doesn't mean that you always get it right. I mean that's a huge portion of the teaching of Christianity, is that we constantly screw things up. That our will,
sure.
Was corrupted essentially. Almost right from the start. But
I
it
don't
was
think
of our own doing and of our own making.
I don't think that you're going to get any argument from us that people are imperfect and that people fall short of the standards that they set for themselves all the time, that everybody has a personal standard of morality or ethics that they're trying to strive toward, and none of us are perfect at maintaining that in any facet of our life. Our argument is that the standard set forth by Christianity for Christians has a lot of fundamental and foundational problems in it from an ethical and moral stance where, again, going back to like the Westboro Baptist argument, where it's like, if you think that showing love for your neighbor is hurling slurs at them and telling them that they're going to be tortured forever in hell for just living the way that they live, because you're trying to warn them of this bad thing that's happening, I think you have a really perverted and warped and twisted version of morality. Now, those people in that instance don't think that they're falling short of they don't think that they're falling short of their standard. They actually think that that's them living up to the standard as best as they possibly can. And so I'm not disagreeing with you that people fall short of their personal standards. I'm saying a lot of times when Christians are doing things that they feel like is actually living up to the standard, they're actually causing a lot of harm. And we see, so going back to the kind of the central question of the show today, where we're talking about Christianity destroying the fabric of the country, I would say that there are a lot of Christian lawmakers who, under the veil of their Christian standard of morality, do great harm through policies that they sponsor and put forward in legislation. And it's not them falling short of their standard, it's them. So, okay, great.
Okay, Adam, let me give you two hypotheticals then, because I think I can get you to I can get you to our point here. all right, hypothetically, let's say I pass
Okay,
by a
go ahead.
pool and I'm a secular humanist, right? And I try to maintain consistent with secular humanism. I pass by a pool and I see that Ben Shapiro
Okay.
is drowning. Ben Shapiro is a person with whom I have great resentment, and I see him drowning and I go, let him drown.
Two of us.
I think the world will be better. All right. So Ben Shapiro's drowning. Now substitute me and substitute for a Christian man, and they see that I'm drowning. And they go, oh, that's Jimmy Snow. He turns people away from Christ. So because I love Christ and I don't want people turned away from him, let him drown. Let him drown. This is God's will, and it's going to be fine. I'm not going to rescue him, even though I easily could. Now take the two of us. So you've got, we'll say that was Austin. Austin let me die, and I let Ben Shapiro die. And we walk away and we reflect on that. Which one of us do you think is more likely to reflect and realize that we actually did something counter to our morality, counter to our moral system, acknowledge it, and maybe even feel guilty about it, versus which one of us will double down and be like, no, this is what God wanted me to do, his will be done, or whatever the secular version. Which one of us would further justify it and be comforted by their moral system, and which one is more likely to actually have some regrets surrounding it?
Well, so the only thing I can really think to say to that is I would hope both. I would hope both.
In practice, though, I don't think you think it's actually both.
Well, in practice, the Christians commanded to love his enemy. You know, and
how's
do
that
good
going?
to them. That's
right. And so if they just redefine what love and good means,
it's certainly not perfect.
All they have to do is subjectively define what love and good means, and then they're off the hook. Is that not correct?
Well, love is actually, if you're a Christian, is objectively, as far as we're concerned, actually defined pretty extensively in the Bible. And the thing is that love doesn't fall on emotion and how you feel. It also falls into action. It's in Corinthians. Can
you give me the exact? I'd love the definition of love.
Corinthians.
It's the one that they read at weddings. It's the one that they read at all the weddings, where it's like love is caring, love is,
patient,
never,
kind,
patient,
right. And any Christian who wants to get around that would go to the contextual issue of the commandments are given to a people for those people. So like the 10 Commandments,
people that avoid their own morality.
No, we can. Yes,
Christians can do.
We can talk about that. We can definitely talk about that. I want to finish my point. The 10 Commandments, thou shalt not kill, didn't mean anybody. It meant thou shalt not kill Jews. Christians have no problem with, yes, my romantic love.
That's why it says murder.
No. Sure, but murder Jews specifically, because they were murdering people like crazy. They literally were commanded to commit genocides and take virgin girls as sex slaves, not as wives, but as concubines by God. So it's like, this was a morality for a specific people. And when you can look back and go, well, God in his infinite love of all of these people thought it was appropriate in love to murder all the men, all the boys, all the women who had ever known another man, and only spare the virgin girls that you weren't allowed to take to wife, but you were allowed to fuck. It's when you hear God is love, and that's the kind of thing God can do in his love. Why would I expect a Christian to be more loving than the God who raped a bunch of little girls?
Well, that's a bit of a stretch to say God was doing it first off, but aside from that,
no, it isn't. If Donald Trump commands JD Vance to come and rape me, are you going to say it would be a stretch if JD Vance does it for me to say that Donald Trump did it?
I'm not familiar with any scripture that says go rape these people. So that's, again, I know what you're talking about.
Would you like it?
But at the same time, it's a stretch.
If I give it to you,
you're not aware of it.
Will you acknowledge it?
Go ahead.
Well, and the fact that you're not aware of it is also the problem here, Adam. Is like he just told you, he just gave you the context, but you did say, you said, I'm not aware of any scripture that says that. Yeah.
Well, no.
So
if I
give you the verses, and you
someone.
No, to take the girls as sex slaves for themselves.
That's what it says.
And by the way, yeah, if I give you the verses and you find out, and what I would even invite you to after that is to go to Christian scholars. If I give you those verses, will it change your position at all? And will it make you reevaluate whether or not the Christian system is moral?
I'm always willing to reevaluate myself. I'm always willing to. So one of the things that I like particularly about my faith is that I believe it can stand up to scrutiny. So I'm more than happy to scrutinize.
But could it actually talk you out of your faith, or are you going to do apologetics to figure out how to? Because this is the thing: is whenever people want to do the like, where's that verse? And I'm going to give it to you. I'll even read it to you if you like.
Well,
but it seems to be like, well, if I now go and check, what if the context meant something else? Then if you go and actually check the context with the scholars, they'll actually tell you it's harsher than it sounds. But before we get started, which version of the Bible is satisfactory to you? New Independent Version, King James, what do you need?
Either one's fine.
You're fine with NIV? So if I use NIV, you're not going to do like, that's just fine. In the NIV.
No, I'm not going to play the games with you. Not going to play the games with you.
Okay, good. Let me figure out which verse it is because I know it's Numbers 31.
While he's looking for that, though, I'll just say really quick that, like, even that right there is like when we talk about when we have words like objective, and you've even been using the word "we" a lot. You say, "Well, we as Christians know this, this, and this. We as Christians believe this. We as Christians." And again, like the fundamental foundational problem with all of that is there is no objectively agreed upon royal we. What you're talking about when you say that, Adam, more specifically is my interpretation of Christianity, my personal interpretation that works with my personal worldview and the way that I operate in the world is that Christianity says this. But there are, and I know that you know this, that there are myriad Christians in the world from different sects of Christianity and different branches of Christianity who don't agree with your interpretation of that scripture. And Jimmy having to ask you which version of the Bible you prefer goes to that argument as well, that like there is no one objective standard here to point to. It's all subjective, and it's also deeply problematic I can do the verses with you now, though, if you like. All right. So are you familiar with the war between Moses, the Israelites, and what were called the Midianites? Are you familiar with that in Numbers?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Numbers. Yep.
So Numbers 31, basically God commands Moses to go and kill everyone. And among it lists off their victims. That's like verse 8. In verse 10, it talks about going through, burning their towns where the Midianites had settled, as well as their camps. So these are just the people. These are the civilians. So first of all, we were already talking about just killing civilians in their settlements, not military targets, not military people. They took the plunder and spoils, including the people and animals. They brought the captive spoils and plunders to Moses and Eleazar, the priests in the Israelite assembly. Moses gets comments as the prophet and asked, "Have you allowed the women to live?" He asked them. Oh shit, what happened?
We lost you for a minute.
Oh, that was weird. The internet, I think I have to reconnect. Hang on. We may have to reconnect the call system there too.
Is Adam still there?
Don't hang up.
You are connected.
Don't hang up, Adam.
Welcome, host. You are now in the host room and can manage your callers from the call-in studio web interface. Audio recording is on.
Adam, can you hear me?
Yep, I hear you.
Okay, good. There was an internet blip there. Sorry. So Moses is angry.
That was God interrupting you. He was mad that you were exposing
him. Yeah, I believe it. Moses gets mad because basically after all of this genocide, the commanders were too nice and let too many women live. Have you allowed all the women to live? He asked them. They were the ones who followed Balaam's advice and enticed the Israelites to be unfaithful to the Lord in the Peor incident, so that a plague struck the Lord's people. Now kill all the boys, so children, kill every woman who has slept with a man, but save for yourself every girl who has slept with a man. And this is understood by scholars and Christian scholars. You don't have to go out to atheist scholars. That the context of that, of taking virgin girls, would have been as concubines, because that was the practice at that time. It was as concubines, but not as wives, because you couldn't marry non-Israel. Yes, Moses is giving those commandments. The beginning of the beginning of the chapter is basically the commandment to commit the genocide, and then at the end, he's basically saying you didn't follow the commandment. The commandment would have been kill everyone except the little girls, the little virgin girls that you get to take as concubines. But you see, you did exactly what I said you were going to do. You were going to you did exactly what I thought you were going to do, which is I'm actually giving the version that is accepted by scholars. And immediately you went like, okay, but contextually, like this guy Moses, wasn't he just talking as a guy maybe at that point? But he's not. He's as the prophet giving God's commands. There's no way around it. God is a genocidal, rapey maniac in this book.
And you did say that one of your big problems with Republicans right now is Israel and Ukraine. So, I mean, if you have a problem with governments mass murdering civilians and starving civilians and mass murdering children, I don't see how it's okay in one context, but not in the other.
Well, there's a big difference, I think, between what you're talking about and something like defense. Of course, I believe that nations have every right to protect and defend themselves. And there are times where things are bad enough where the best defense is a good offense. I just disagree in those particular examples that's being gone about in a adequate or proper way. But as far as what you're getting at with the Bible here, what I would say about this, in comparison, one, I do believe that the particular group that you're talking about, the Midianites, these were people that were in constant conflict with each other all the time. The Israelis and the Midianites, and there were plenty of awful things that were done on. I'm sorry.
So children and women, and so more than just the militaries deserve to die because they were in conflict with each other?
Well, no, that's not what I'm getting at. But you're talking about a practice that was super common at the time. That's
so,
something
no, it
that
wasn't.
people did regardless if God told them to or not. That wasn't.
First of all, no, it wasn't, because the whole story is fictional.
People to take concubines.
At that period of time, the whole story. No, again, I don't know. I haven't checked with the Catholic Church, but a lot of Christian churches have had to accept that the story of Moses is fictional. A lot of the Catholics have at least accepted
the
that
Orthodox
Noah.
Church doesn't believe that.
Are you an Orthodox Christian?
I'm a recent inquiring potential convert.
Okay, well, you're going to go the most anti-scientific route if you're going to go down orthodoxy. But we know for a fact that Adam and Eve didn't exist. Scientifically, it's impossible. Everything up through Noah also didn't exist. The problem with the Israelite story and the Exodus from Egypt is that the Israelites, we know who was in Egypt at that time, and we know which Israelites were where at that time. The type of Israelites that supposedly existed and were enslaved by Egypt never existed in that area at that time. And Egypt also, we know who built Egypt. We know who was around. They didn't have a slave system. It's just an early racist, or if you prefer, ethnicist sort of story to make the bad guys those people from that land in Africa, and the others the good guys. If that's the case,
why are a bunch of their writings found there from the appropriate time?
Why is a bunch of whose writings found where?
Of scriptural writing.
There is no Israelite writing found in Egypt from the time of the supposed enslavement of the Jews. Every bit of physical evidence that anybody has ever said they found, like chariot wheels, has been debunked and have turned out to be hoaxes.
Yeah, so I will say, Adam, I think that we're getting a little bit off course here, because the question of, it's good. It's a good thing to talk about the nature of the Bible. That is the foundation of Christian morality and this objective standard that you were originally basing your argument on. I want to know if we can get back to the question of.
Trying to go.
Fair enough.
Well, fair enough. I'd like to see if we can get back to the question of how is Christianity good for the United States of America? How is Christianity not hurt? Our position is that it's actively hurting the country, that it's actively harming the country. How do you feel like Christianity is a net good for the United States of America? How do you feel like in policy, in legislative terms, in action, in practice, in the country, how do you see it as a good thing for the citizens of the country?
Is it just that moral argument you made?
Well, I mean, that's a large part of it. What I was getting at with that, though, was I noticed just a little bit before I decided to go ahead and call in, I noticed that we were, kind of picking at the movement, and you guys were pointing out some of the hypocrisy, which I understand. But my point to that would be that people are hypocritical. That, and especially Christians, because they are holding themselves to a standard, it's very easy to see when they fall short of that standard. But the difference is, in my opinion anyway, that they're holding themselves to a standard. And I'll say I believe it to be a higher standard. For example, I think that killing infants is generally wrong. So when I see Christians get into office and fight back against this, this is a good thing because it potentially leads to a greater amount of life. And why is it, if we have a reproduction crisis, is what it generally seems like, the rates keep continuing to decline, why are we still killing so many babies? So
basically we went straight to equivocation that fetuses are infants and now they're babies. You said infants a moment ago. Now they're babies. No. I know. You believe that is.
Answer you specifically.
You believe it's universally wrong, even though I actually gave you a verse in the scriptures where God killed babies, so he doesn't think it's universally wrong. Also, the reproductive system, more zygotes and fertilized embryos are lost naturally by a large margin than are ever born or aborted. So even the system God created, allegedly, for creating life, he isn't protecting those babies. So then at the end of the day, it sounds like your argument is we would be doing better in a country where you are forced to bring a fetus all the way to term, even if they don't yet have a spark of life, consciousness, anything.
Drop your pants in the first place, though.
Adam, I have a question for you.
That's never worked as a type of birth control, by the way. You should just not have sex. Has never worked at all. Period.
It's just empirically incorrect.
But
that was really stupid of your God. That was really stupid of your God to create such a sex drive that seems so impulsively difficult to fight against, that when consent is present, you should deny yourself. But by the way, you're also a part of the party who is, if you really want to reduce abortion rates, make birth control accessible to all people for free.
Talk about equivocation. Why are we blaming God instead of ourselves? Why are you saying?
Because God created us. In your world, God created us. I do blame us for our problems. And right now, the problem the U.S. has with high abortion rates is lack of access to health care and birth control. If you want birth control to plummet, or you want abortion to plummet, give people free birth control.
Give people free birth control. Well,
Yeah, Adam, that was going to be my question too, is if you're concerned about, so if the answer to the question, how is Christianity good for the country, is to look at the plummeting birth rate and say Christianity would be in favor of helping the birth rate, I would categorically say you're 100% wrong about that. That not only Christianity but MAGA, that they are actually the root cause of the plummeting birth rate. Everything about the conservative ideology and mindset when it comes to policy and legislation is counter to a society that is pro everybody have kids and have birth. The only position that they have that could even remotely be described as pro birth is this anti-bodily autonomy position, where they say, if you're pregnant, we are going to force you to carry that pregnancy to term. That is the only position. Every other position, every other position they hold is hold on. Every other position they hold is categorically, Adam, stop. Every other position they hold is categorically worse for the birth rate. 100%. So what's worse for the birth rate? Let's actually just break this down. Allowing people to have bodily autonomy and having reproductive care freedom to actually do what they need to do, prenatal care and postnatal care, allowing them to have access to that, or giving terrible prenatal and postnatal care, giving no work relief for maternity leave after a baby is born, having no regard for the health and safety of the mother carrying the child, having no regard for any stipulations for if the mother, the mortality rates of mothers, having no regard for people who are having babies as the result of sexual assault and sexual abuse. And then outside of that, people who do manage to carry a pregnancy successfully to term, having no regard for the health and safety of the child after it's born, being categorically opposed to all social programs that could help families from lower income households give that child a chance at a happy, healthy life, being against free lunches in schools, every conservative position is adding to people saying, I don't want to have a kid. Like I'm telling you as a man who's 37 years old, who doesn't have kids, I don't want to have a kid because I don't believe that it would be responsible to bring a kid into this world with the policies that are in place from conservatives. Like, I don't think that it makes sense financially or morally to bring a child into this world if I can't have some sort of reasonable expectation that I'm going to be able to take care of them and that I'm going to be supported by the society that I live in that goal of taking care of them. So all you're for with this anti-abortion stance is, I think people who get pregnant should be forced to carry a pregnancy to term. That has nothing to do with birth rate. You don't care at all about what happens to them during the pregnancy. You don't care if they have an ectopic pregnancy. You don't care about the doctor's ability to give them comprehensive care during the course of their pregnancy.
Any kind of malice to you guys. I've never attacked your character or anything like that. Now you're just sticking things to me that you actually have no idea about me.
Okay, so do you disagree with everything I just said?
Well, I certainly disagree with the N critique. Yeah, I mean you're just saying things that you think are attached to me that aren't necessarily attached to me because
let's pretend that they're not.
MAGA thing.
Let's pretend they're not attached to you. Do you agree or disagree that all of the policies that I just talked about could be contributing to the low birth rate?
Well, the problem that I see with that, the issue that I see in that, if that's the case, then why is it that it's the lower end of the economic scale that's having the most amount of children?
Because the least access to birth control. And because of religious scams, like how in Mormonism we were raised with the actual idea, have kids before you're, hang on, you asked a question, I'm answering it. In Mormonism, I was raised with the idea of get married young and start having kids right away. And that God will figure it out. And it's a cycle which creates a dependency on the church so that you're less likely to leave. So later in life, when you are a little more financially stable, you're going to give them a lot more money than they give you. It's actually a Christian concept that is causing poor people to have children young. And by the way, this isn't something I'm just guessing based on my own stuff. There's plenty of statistical research. Nope. There is plenty of statistical research that this is actually at the core of so many children. It's a cultural influence. In other countries, it is it is other reasons, because there are other cultures. Like in countries with high mortality rates of children, there are people who have lots of kids to have a higher chance that some of them will make it to adulthood, and then that one of them will have the resources to be able to take care of the parents in their old age. It's cultural reasons why people do it, and people with less resources tend to evaluate less when they want to follow those cultural influences. That is the answer. Again, there's plenty of research backing all of what I just said, Adam.
So doesn't that boil down basically to less money, more stupid? I mean, is that basically what we're saying?
If you want to reduce it to that, you can, but that's the reason why you have to do that is because your position is so dishonest. It relies on reductionism and hyperbole.
How am I being dishonest? Please,
because you are being reductionist. I just explained it to you with plenty of nuance, and you tried to turn it into something that will sound like I'm just trying to offend that poor people must be stupid. Has far less to do with your intelligence, and it has to be. That's what it sounds like to a conservative who is trying to manipulate it dishonestly. It has nothing to do with your IQ or your intelligence. It has to do with cultural influences. Geniuses can be peer pressured into doing dumb things. If you are born brilliant and told that God has a penis and banged you into existence, like myself, I'm pretty smart, and I bought into that bullshit for years and years and years. You're trying to be reductionist because what you're saying doesn't work without trying to make this a more inflammatory thing.
That's literally not what I'm trying to do.
How many kids do you have, Adam?
To ask you if that's what that boils down to. I'm sorry.
Well, then you shouldn't have, because I explained it perfectly clearly, and only a person who was trying dishonestly would have reduced it to that. How many children do you have?
None.
Do you have a partner? Are you married?
No.
How old are you?
30.
Are you a virgin at 30?
No.
So you had sex because you have the resources to have children, correct? No, I wasn't always very Christianly. Oh, so you had sex without the resources to have children?
Yeah, stupidly.
How many, do you now have the resources to have children? If you met the right person, could you have children now?
I would hope so.
How many children do you think you could support?
I don't even know how to answer that, man.
No, just take a guess. With your income, like how many kids do you think you'd be able to comfortably have? You'd be okay?
2 or 3.
What percentage of those are you planning to adopt?
None.
Why?
I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think it's a beautiful thing for people to take,
but not for you to do.
I think that's wonderful.
I think you just proved all of Austin's point, that you do not care about anybody else's children, that you don't care about children at large. And I think you just walked right into it.
Talk about reductionist. That's absolutely ridiculous, because I want to pass on my genes.
Great. I didn't ask you if I said what percentage. So if you have 3 kids, why not do 2? Why don't you do 2 children biologically and 1 adopted? I'm not having any kids, and I don't have the values you have. I don't think that I would make a good parent at this time in my life.
But I'm wrong for wanting to
Excuse me, wait. I haven't had any.
But you haven't adopted any, so that obviously means that you care about absolutely nothing.
We haven't made the claim, Adam.
Adam,
we haven't made the claim.
Also, I haven't had any children. I haven't said I will have children. Certainly. But by the way, if you want to get into the weeds with it, I literally had to take like the last 3 years, 2.5 years off of work because of health shit. I only just got back to doing stuff within the last 6 months. The 2.5 years leading up to that, my health stuff got so bad, I couldn't even do this job. And there were days where I would evaluate whether I had it in me, the strength in me to walk to the mailbox. The health stuff that preceded all of that was also very difficult and wouldn't have been good for a child. I wouldn't have been able to guarantee safety nor the physical capability of having. However, now that I'm on the other side of that, I may have children in the future. And guess what? there's almost 100% chance, I'd put it at 95% chance that every child I have will be an adopted child. Because I actually don't want to pass on my genetics, because a lot of my medical issues are genetic. But if I had a partner who got pregnant and they decided they wanted to keep it, I absolutely would support it.
Why you would to me?
Oh, I'm saying that you made a very big point about how the problem here is that we have a declining birth rate. We need to be doing and Austin came to you and was talking about, if you cared about the declining birth rate, you would care about the children after they are born and the stability. And I think it is very revealing in your answer that you have a lot of ideas of how you want to interfere with the lives of the people who don't agree with you, who don't have your feelings about abortion, about what they must do and should be prohibited from doing, but you don't want to participate yourself in the solution, despite the fact that you'll have the resources. You don't want to actually participate yourself in the solutions that would require you to actually adopt a child and take care of somebody in society other than your own flesh and blood.
What I don't believe in is forcing somebody else to pay consequences of others' actions.
Great.
Because that's what you're talking about. When we
the majority of abortions happen long before a child gets any first spark.
Instead of the individual for making the decision that they did, I think that is part of the problem. The root, this problem is always going to boil back down to the individual that made the decision to do so, because you always have a decision whether to engage in the sexual intercourse in the first place or not.
Adam,
of course,
have you ever masturbated, Adam? Adam, hang on. Have you ever masturbated?
Dude, I'm not answering that question, dude.
No, it's an important question, because if you have, you are a hypocrite here. Because again, you're talking about not the consequences happening to other people.
Dude, you're a hypocrite.
Great. You're talking about the consequences.
If you have any kind of standard.
And yet I wouldn't make your hypocrisy illegal like you would make abortion illegal. So when we're talking about abortion and you're talking about somebody else paying the price for your actions or whatever else, as though that's what abortion is, those fetuses, the overwhelming majority, have not reached personhood, consciousness, a first spark of what we identify as a person, which, by the way, we clearly have legal recognition of. That's why you are allowed to pull the plug on people who actually have more than those fetuses have as far as brain activity goes and the like. You are allowed to pull the plug on them. Your sperm and those fetuses, in overwhelming over 95% of the abortions, have no more achieved personhood, the experience of life, or anything. So if it is wrong for you to abort the baby that has not had a first spark of consciousness, then it is wrong for you to dump your cum in a sock, Adam.
Also, I'll just say this, Adam.
I wouldn't even necessarily disagree with you.
Adam, I'll also just say this, that this brings us all the way back to the beginning of our conversation, where you were talking about like Christian values and Christian standards of morality and the idea of Christians holding themselves to a higher standard. And then we started calling into question that standard and started calling into question the subjectivity of what Christian love and Christian morality actually looks like. And we started criticizing things like the Westboro Baptist Church and criticizing Christian bigotry that is used as, from a lot of Christians as love. This whole entire position confirms that your personal moral standard has been corrupted by Christianity, that you're here saying like anybody who gets pregnant, it's their fault. Like that you're outright categorically just not willing to engage with the fact that not every pregnancy is the result of consensual intercourse. And like, you're just saying, it's people's fault.
Here we go. We're getting to rape.
Oh yeah. Here we go. Yeah, here we go. People get pregnant from rape, Adam. What do you mean, here we go?
No kidding.
It's a thing that, no kidding, you stupid fuck.
Because you
what
guys
the
are
fuck are you talking
me
about?
Equivocating. You're talking about me equivocating, and you're going to the lowest common denominator on purpose.
This is the lowest thing. This is part of the conversation, Adam.
You keep saying that guilty of this somehow. When you
we already beat you on the other denominators, Adam. This is what's left.
This is what's left.
You beat me.
So Adam, you said Adam, I asked you the question. Let's go through this. I'm going to diagnose the conversation for you. I asked you the question after we had a whole long conversation about the Bible and talked about how shitty the Bible is, and we proved that one. You didn't think we could do that, and we proved that one. We put that. Yeah, just go ahead and laugh, Adam. If you say so, we fucking did. We did conclusively. You said, I'm not aware of any verse in the Bible where God commands people to... Because you're being really fucking stupid right now, and it's pissing me off.
I'm having fun.
Cool. So am I. This is what
I'm happy to let you go.
I love chewing chuds up like you. Like I fucking love this. This is a lot of fun for me. So I'm gonna diagnose this, Adam, for you. So you said I'm not aware of any verse in the Bible where God can command somebody to commit rape. So Jimmy said, I'm going to prove it for you. He even confirmed with you that it's okay that he uses this specific version of the Bible. You said, sure it is. He said, if I do this, are you not going to do apologetics? You said, I won't do apologetics. He showed you where in the Bible God commands people to be mass murdering children and civilians and then rape. And you went, oh, well, I don't know. That's just like Moses saying that, right? Like you immediately went into apologetics after we shut down your objective standard of Christian morality. I said, I think we're getting off topic here. Adam, can we get back to the question of how is Christianity good for the United States of America? And your answer was having a standard of morality that supports the birth rate through pro-life stances or forced birth stances. And I came back at you and I said, I actually think that categorically conservative positions are way worse for the birth rate than a pro-life position. Supporting environmental collapse, like urging on the collapse of a habitable planet through late stage capitalism and industrialism, and all of these different things that conservatives support. Not supporting children after they're born, not having stipulations for sexual assault and people who are pregnant get pregnant as a result of sexual assault. Having a terrible economic system that doesn't support people in becoming parents. I listed off all of these examples and you just kind of went, well, I don't know why you're assuming that I think all of those things. And I said, do you agree or disagree? You refused to engage with it. So we got back to the question of the morality of abortion. And your thing was, well, I don't think that someone else should suffer for someone else's mistake. Basically calling sex in and of itself an immoral act, and anybody who does it is accepting the fact that they might get pregnant, and if they do get pregnant, they should be forced to carry that pregnancy to term. It doesn't matter if the pregnancy threatens their life, doesn't matter if the baby won't be, if it's not going to be a viable birth. They shouldn't have access to prenatal care. They shouldn't have access to postnatal care because they made the decision. And this was the example that took us all the way back to the beginning of the conversation, which is your objective moral framework fucking sucks. Your Christian the framework sucks. You've been taught by Orthodox Christianity that having sex outside of marriage and without the intent of procreating is an inherently bad thing to do. And that's just a stupid fucking concept. It's really fucking dumb that your God would create beings that are as horny as we are and then be like, but only do it if you're going to have kids. And also, I'm going to have those kids die a lot of the time while they're in utero. And a lot of the time I'm going to have the kids kill you. But you're forced to do it. And you just have to roll the dice and maybe die because you're pregnant. In modern times, we figured out a way to make having kids safer for people, to make it so that it doesn't have to mean that the mother has to risk dying in order to do it. We've figured out ways through modern medicine to make this a safer and more reasonable process. But your stupid Bronze Age morality about sex just being bad and being like, well, why don't they just keep their pants on, just shows how fucking shitty your entire moral framework is. Anyway, that's it. I'm done with Adam. Okay.
All right, Adam. Final thoughts, and then we're moving to a new call. Go on, Chuckles.
Oh, am I still on here?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, I don't know when I ever said that sex was immoral. I don't believe that. You just keep. I mean, you're talking in pages. I try to stop.
You said that you don't think. You said I don't think. You said I don't think.
Attributing all kinds of things to me that I didn't say. I never said sex was immoral.
You did. You did though.
You did.
You did. Then how is it a mistake?
No, I never did.
Then how is it a
mistake? I never said that. I don't. You
called it a mistake.
I know I didn't say that because I don't believe that.
You called it a mistake, and when I asked if you've had premarital sex, you said yes because you used to be different. used to have different morals.
Yeah, but see, now you just said something completely different. You just said premarital sex.
Oh,
right?
you're using pedantry here as though that wasn't obviously what Austin was. All right, get out of here, you dishonest sack of shit. If you're going to literally be that pedantic, no, get the.
That?
Yes, clearly from context, because everybody else who was watching got it, but you. So yes, or maybe Adam. Oh shit! Earlier you said as far as you understood it, 4 equals stupid. So I guess you're 4.
I was speaking from in marital status. This is ridiculous. You guys are absolutely ridiculous.
Adam, remember when you told me that I was attributing a bunch of things to you? That you're like, why are you attributing all these things to me? And then I said, do you agree or disagree with what I just said? And you were like,
well, I mean, bad, which I never said. Yeah.
No, Adam, when I was giving you all of the positions that conservatives and Christians put into policy that hurt the birth rate, when I talked about how, making the planet uninhabitable by hurting the environment makes people not want to have kids, when I talked about all of the economic positions of conservatives that make people not want to have kids, having tariffs that increase the cost of groceries that make them double in 6 months, that, absolutely
we have other calls waiting in only 45 minutes. We don't have to waste this on this guy.
Yeah, right. They make people not want to have kids. And I asked you, do you agree or disagree? And you wouldn't answer the question. You said, well, I don't know why you're attributing those things to me. And I said, do you agree or disagree that those positions could hurt the birth rate? And you were like, well, I don't know why we're talking about that. You're just dishonest, dude. We dog walked you in this entire conversation. You never made a single good point. You got your ass handed to you. You started this off by saying, by saying, Christians hold themselves to a higher moral standard than other people. And then you said, I'm not aware of any verse in the Bible where God condones raping children. And it's like, well, here you go, buddy. And here you go, a bunch of verses of God condoning slavery and God condoning murdering civilians and murdering children. And then you're like, well, like you never at any point had a salient point. Me. You never. Yeah, it sure does. Every single time we made you look like an idiot, you went, and then it was like, okay, what's your rebuttal to that? And you were like, well, I didn't necessarily say that. You haven't had a good point this entire conversation. And I think we've been.
It's a little bit hard to get it when,
Okay.
Closing. Yeah.
Nah, I just didn't care anymore.
Yeah.
That was his last thought. It's hard to get it out. It's hard to get it when I'm not allowed to be dishonest and I rely on pedantry. Carlos in Wisconsin says Christianity is not a negative to the world, just Juno Christianity. I don't know what Juno Christianity is. Is it Juno what I'm talking about? Ha ha ha, I'm funny. All right, go on. What's Juno Christianity?
Nope. Oh, do you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. No, so basically I said Judeo-Christianity.
Oh, it was just misspelled in here. Got it. Yeah, okay. I thought you meant Juno, like the place. Judeo-Christianity.
Oh, no.
So what even is Judeo-Christianity separate from Christianity? Because personally, I think Judeo-Christianity is kind of the concept is kind of a myth. There's no real.
Well,
it's just something to try and get Jews to vote Republican.
Right, but I think because of that, they have a large influence over, our politics right now. I mean, kind of from the bottom to the top, and that's the Jews.
So basically, your perspective here is that Christians aren't wrong.
I guess the Israeli government.
So Christianity is not the problem, but the way the Jews are using the Christians is what you think is the problem?
I mean, and it could go the other way around as well, but I think politically, yeah, that's the issue. I mean, it just doesn't really line up with the core Christian values, which I guess we agree on that would be kind of a hoax, the premise of Judeo-Christianity.
So do you think Donald Trump is a Christian?
Maybe, but he's definitely owned by not Christians.
Right. And so what's your evidence for any of this?
Well, I mean, I think that's the whole reason he got elected this round in the first place, is the backing by the Zionist lobby.
Okay, and what's your evidence that the Zionist lobby is just one lobby and he barely talked about Israel, and that was not what most people voted on who voted for him?
Right.
We know that plenty from polling. So what evidence do you actually have that the Jews orchestrated Donald Trump's coming to power? The Democrats are Zionists too, so it doesn't even make any sense.
I mean, the financial backing from people like Mary Matelson, things like that that's just number one. But
okay, and Mormons, and so rich Mormons also back Donald Trump. Are the Mormons responsible? Is your example that there are individuals who are rich, who are Jewish, who backed him, therefore Jews are controlling the country?
But Mormons, they don't have the same juice. I mean, rich Mormons don't have the same juice at all. And he bait and switched
Mormonism. The Mormon Church has way more concentrated cash than almost any religion. They literally compete on the level of Catholicism for financial resources. So I don't know what you mean they don't have the same thing.
I don't think so. I mean, I wouldn't get banned off TikTok for
California successfully in 2008 or 9 ended up going back on gay marriage because of the Mormon Church's influence. So I don't know what you mean by they don't even have influence when they were able to take liberal California and bend it to their knee.
Maybe they do have political influence, but not on the level of the Zionist lobby.
And yet, if you go and you look at Project 2025, it does not help the Jews. It does help the fundamentalist Christians a lot, and actually would arguably be bad for the Jews in the long term. And when you look at the people Donald Trump has surrounded himself with, his vice president wrote the foreword for the book for that Christian nationalist wet dream. Everything that you say falls apart as soon as I just say, what is your evidence besides identifying individuals who are Jewish? The vice president is not Jewish.
No, but he's Jewish back. I mean, Peter Thiel is literally, his big daddy, and he's absolutely.
And he's also Christian backed.
Israel.
And he's also Christian backed.
I mean, maybe for
the reason why Christians love Israel is they like the idea. The reason why Christians like Israel is because Israel is important to their second coming, and they like the idea of a group of people they don't actually morally care about keeping the place clean for the second coming because they don't want to be over there preserving it against the Arabs. They like the idea of Jews being the ones in danger from the Arab world if the Arabs decide they want to take it back because of their own xenophobia and Islamophobia. They are much more content to see Jews and Israelis fight that war than themselves.
I mean, I think that's a portion of it, but I think 21st century right now, I think it's because they have blackmail and probably the majority of our political leaders. I think. And
what evidence do you have for this? Dude. Okay, if you're going to come on and just be a Nazi, at least defend it. Yeah, no, you're fully being a Nazi right now.
That's not being an. I mean, you can't tell me that the whole Epstein, conglomerate wasn't backed by Israel. I mean, every single point of it points to that. So who do you think he was working on behalf of?
What point? You're saying what point? Who did Epstein operate on behalf of? How is that a hard question for you? He operated on behalf of pedophiles.
Israeli pedophiles, backed by Robert Maxwell, backed by Lex Wexner, backed by all of these
and you just repeating it doesn't make it true. Like how you also you omit a lot of things too. Peter Thiel is half Jewish. His mother is of Jewish ethnicity.
I mean, but I wouldn't say solely, but largely in step with Palantir doing everything over in Gaza as far as the technology that's
conservatives and Christians like the idea of Gazan genocide because they don't like Arabs, they don't like brown people, they don't like Muslims.
I'm saying the Christians are doing evil
What religion is Peter Thiel? What religion is Peter Thiel?
If you say he's Christian, I believe it, but I mean he's backed by Jews.
No. Not what will I say. Before you called in, proving you did your research, what did you already understand? You've already shown you don't know. So what religion is Peter Thiel before either of us Google it?
I'm gonna guess just because you're speaking the way you are Christian.
Right, so you don't actually know. You're trying to guess because you don't want to admit you didn't know. So you're coming in, you don't know a thing about these people, but you think because his mother, who clearly didn't have as much influence, was only ethnically Jewish, not religiously Jewish, but he grew up in a Christian home with a Christian father and is himself Christian, but because of some little time. Hey, let me ask you this. I have a drop of Jew in me.
I think that's partially.
Hey, Carlos, I'm partially Jewish. Am I a part of the Jewish lobby? Is this Am I a part of the conspiracy to turn the whole whatever to control the world from the Jews?
I couldn't say, but I mean, definitely if you were working for Palantir and doing all that stuff, I would say yes. But I mean, I don't have.
But so guilty either. By association. I've got to drop a Jew in me. That doesn't do it for you. You fucking
Carlos,
Nazi.
What did I just say?
Wild.
What did I just say?
It's wild that you don't understand. It's wild that you don't hear how much
isn't the crux of the issue.
Okay,
I think that's nitpicking and semantics, where you're saying that just because Peter. You know what I mean? Like, just because he has Jew in him makes him evil. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the company he's aligning himself with, the deeds that they are doing, that is where the evil is, not because of a religion.
All right, great. Weirdly, I want to get away from...
You went to religion. I don't have a drop of Jewish religion in me. Ethnicity.
Yeah, that's kind of what I want to go to, is I want to get away from like how much of a Nazi you're being, because it is crazy. But I want to actually it's okay, whatever. What I want to talk about is, you said that the Jews that are controlling the government are actually the problem, and that they're corrupting traditional Christian values. What in your mind are the values that are being corrupted by the secret cabal of Jews that run the world? And
that's not what I'm saying. Let me just clarify that, because even if they were being controlled by another government, them being, reluctant to do the bidding of another government makes them evil as well. So I'm not saying like it's the evil Jews and the Christians are innocent. I'm just saying that, optically, I think Christianity is kind of being hijacked behind, a different. You know what I'm saying? Again, I'm not trying to sound like a Nazi.
Yeah, you're literally saying
you are sounding like a Nazi.
Yeah, you're saying Christianity is being hijacked by. You're saying Christianity is being hijacked by Jews to make Christianity look bad. That's your argument.
I should clarify, by the Israeli government, not Jews.
Okay.
Wait.
There's
Jewish people on the street that have nothing to do with it.
Name one lobby that's more powerful than AIPAC.
I mean, I don't think I can. I think.
That's because you're an idiot. That's because you're a Nazi idiot. Because the most powerful lobby is Americans for Prosperity. Who runs Americans for Prosperity?
Out against Israel.
Who runs Americans for Prosperity, which probably is the most powerful conservative lobby in the U.S.? Who runs that?
I mean, you can tell me. I don't know. I'm not saying I know.
Yeah, no shit, you don't know, because you haven't done basic research, and yet you're out here saying the most powerful lobby is AIPAC in Israel, even though it isn't. So you haven't even bothered to Google whether or not the facts that you are spewing here are correct. The Koch brothers are behind Americans for Prosperity. Guess what? They're not. Fucking Jewish. You know who else is? The Heritage Foundation, a hugely Christian organization.
What I'm saying with me saying that there's the Jewish mob that runs the world, I'm saying right now, politically, I think Donald Trump is in both debt, maybe financially, and just like, debt of actions to Israel.
And you have no proof of it. The Heritage Foundation clearly is the main beneficiary of more of a beneficiary than AIPAC is. Donald Trump would turn on Israel if Netanyahu just was mean to him. That's how little actually AIPAC matters.
I doubt that. I think we'd find out more than the little shred of Epstein files we have if you were to actually go toe to toe with Netanyahu.
Carlos, is your actual political worldview that MAGA, that the Donald Trump administration would be significantly more moral and ethical if they weren't secretly being puppeteered by immoral, I'll call them Israeli government interests, and I won't use the other word.
I'll even side with you on that. I'll side with you on that probably not, but I'm saying the issues at hand are being influenced by a foreign government.
What would you do about it?
What would I do about it?
Yeah. Let's say you're correct. And,
I don't know. That's why I'm not the president. But
yeah, I think you know. I think you have an idea of what you wish would happen to these Jews that you think are a problem.
Let's say Donald Trump lost the election. Kamala Harris would have never been able to pull off all the bullshit he's done. He's able to pull it off because he has that MAGA backing. But if Kamala tried to do those things, no one would have it. If she wanted to go bomb Iran, no one would let her touch the button. It wouldn't happen.
What are you talking about? The Democrats are also super Zionist, and Biden was already doing. Haven't most of the deaths in Gaza happened under Biden? When Donald Trump got in 2016, when Donald Trump got in 2016, he saw the Yemenis genocide increase, but it was already present. So Obama wasn't doing
my
shit.
Point, then, that they own both the Democrats and the Republicans. That it's not just one.
They don't own both. The Democrats and the Republicans have the same values when it comes to the existence of Israel. But you just sitting there and going, because they're owned by the Jews, because you think there are Jewish donors. And by the way, you also don't get to go, oh, then you're making my point when you made the opposite point and not acknowledging that you were wrong first moments ago when you said that they wouldn't have been able to get away with whatever. Now, listen, I think it would have been different because I don't think they're owned. And I think Kamala Harris could at least be bullied into making better decisions and would be worried about losing her second term when this many people are against what's happening in Gaza. So I do think she wouldn't have operated the same, but it would have nothing to do with because they're bought. And the thing that you said was wrong was that they couldn't when they already were. By the way, we had a different theist on the line that I wish would call back.
Over less. Second.
There was a caller.
I liked that call.
Adam from California was a theist Republican who was going to defend why Donald Trump is a good president. Please do call back because that'll be a refreshing call from this Nazi.
Yeah, Carlos, I think
the old Donald Trump would have been a great president.
What is that?
Before he hired as many Jews.
I mean, but you're taking it the wrong way. I'm not saying Jews as a whole. I'm saying the Jews around him. It's like not saying all blacks are bad, but I mean,
so like Jewish billionaires.
You just said blacks. Oh God.
Jewish.
Yeah.
So you just mean like Jewish billionaires with influence and power, like his son-in-law.
Well, not even all billionaires. Not even all. I mean, there's just bad actors, regardless of what group you're from.
Wait, so now you want to get down to
a lot of them in political power right now.
So now you're trying to retreat from the Jews and Israel own him to, no, it's just a couple Jews, which we already said at the beginning, there are going to be people politically who do support him, who happen to be Jewish, and yet you're trying to make it the Jewish lobby. Israel owns him. There's all this blackmail. All right, where's your evidence that they have any blackmail? There isn't evidence of that because the people you already named weren't Jewish, like Peter Thiel. Where is your evidence? Where is your evidence that that the Jews have blackmail on Donald Trump, like you said earlier?
Oh, well, what do you mean? I think just the fact that the files haven't come out as a whole means that they're being held over someone or somewhere.
So why is that a more reasonable explanation instead of the idea that the reason they haven't come out is because political figures like Donald Trump, and you could even say under Biden, Bill Clinton before, would have looked really bad if they came out unredacted, so they need time to redact them.
Yes, it would have came out bad, but who put them in
for Trump or for Clinton? Not the Jews.
Right.
Nothing to do with the Jews. Donald Trump doesn't want you to know he's probably a pedophile, so Donald Trump doesn't let the files out. The DNC, first of all, was legally restricted, by the way. Excuse me?
Hold on. I think he
very well might be.
Okay, hold on, Carlos. Hold on. That's crazy. You said that you're not debating the fact that Donald Trump very well might be a serial pedophile, and just like 10 minutes ago, you said, I think the old Donald Trump would have been a great president. The guy that you are not debating.
But you're saying that they're all pedophiles.
What do you mean?
We basically pick our pedophiles. You just said Bill Clinton, Donald Trump. You're basically saying it's pick your pedophile with the presidency. I mean,
Bill Clinton hasn't run for president any time that I legally could vote.
Kamala Harris is not a serial pedophile.
Well, maybe that's why she didn't get elected. No, but
okay, Carlos. What I want to know is the question of the day is our claim is that MAGA and Christianity are ruining America. Your claim is that it's not true Christianity because the Christianity that is in power right now is being corrupted by a cabal of bad actors who are of a particular ethnic identity. And my question is, assuming that's correct, it's not, but assuming that it is, what is the pure version of Christianity that you think would actually be good for the country if it were unencumbered by all of these bad Israeli puppeteers? What is the pure form of Christianity that would be good for the country?
Well, okay, so take it away from yes, the Christianity part, but I don't think we have seen a country without that influence in probably as long as I've been alive. I'm 30.
Would you say the last time was 1920s Germany?
Okay. No, you're framing it wrong. You're making me sound fucked up. That's not the angle I'm taking. That's fucked up.
How do you feel? It sounds exactly like what you're saying. So was the Christianity of 1920s Germany superior to modern day American Christianity?
I think that Christianity is largely gone. I mean, even just
Carlos,
to go
was 1920s? Carlos, answer my question. Was 1920s Germany, was their form of Christianity superior to modern American Christianity?
No, absolutely not. That's not what I'm saying.
And yet they all had the exact same feelings you do. Not all, but a sizable chunk enough to commit the Holocaust. They had at their pulpit, they were preaching against the concept of the Jews getting into government and everything. So you're sitting here and saying the 20s Germany Christianity was worse. I just wish modern Christianity would recognize the same things they did back then and adjust to it.
Well, okay, you said that, not me, but I think you're making the parallel between the two, which I never did. But you're making
Nazi
the parallel
points
between
always
the two
sound like
that
Nazis.
The people were, the people were largely upset with the influence that those people had over the United States, which got them involved in wars. I mean, I get what you're saying. But
it was preached from the pulpit. It was preached from the pulpit. Anti-Semitism for the centuries leading up, blaming Jews for, it would start with blaming Jews for the crucifixion of Jesus and go through that they are through. I can't believe you've gotten this far into your Jewish conspiracies and yet you're not aware of old Jewish propaganda.
What are you blaming for the crucifixion of Jesus? I mean, that's in the Bible they did it, but I never said that was a big crux of my argument.
The Jews killed Jesus?
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's in the what? What do you mean? Who else killed Jesus? But I'm not saying that's an issue of mine. But
I think it is so funny that you are sitting here trying to not sound like a Nazi, and then you're like, yeah, but that Nazi point is.
Okay, wait. But who killed Jesus then?
Did the Jews?
No, I'm not saying the Jews. Okay, I don't know if you're doing it on purpose or not, but you're trying to make me sound fucked up, and that's not what I'm saying.
You literally said that's what the Bible said. Wait, let me ask you, who did kill Jesus?
Well,
who condemned Jesus to death? What was the name of the guy who condemned Jesus to death?
Pontius Pilate.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. It's been a long time since I was in the religion class, but yeah, Pontius Pilate. And
who was he?
I mean, like I said, a long time since I've been in a religion class, but pre-Jesus, though, everything was Judaism, correct?
No, completely not correct. Pontius Pilate, what religion was he?
No, I don't know. That's what I'm telling you.
What ethnicity was he?
I'm school me. I'm willing to be wrong.
How are you this, here's the thing, guy. I know I'm imperfect because I find myself so often having to reach for this word redacted because some part of me needs to become 16 years old and call you what this is sounding like to me. And it's so unfair to me that other people get to use these types of terms and just and feel better about themselves. Pontius Pilate was, how do you not know that Pontius, the person who you said is Jewish, killed your Lord? How do you not know that Pontius Pilate is Roman?
Okay, but I mean, that's
No. Answer that question, Roman, and then we'll get to the religion. We'll get to the religion. We'll get to the religion after.
Right.
How did you not know that he was Roman?
Well, because I haven't been in a religion class in probably a decade. But what I'm saying is because he
and what religion were the Romans?
School me. But the issue was he claimed to be the king of the Jews, which they did not believe, and they thought was blasphemous.
Who did? No, they believed there being a competing king. Pontius Pilate believed, and the Romans believed, the idea of there being an authority outside of their own was a problem. Jesus didn't get universal support amongst Jews because he was an apocalyptic preacher and a fraud. But that's even if he existed in the first place. He was put to death by Pontius Pilate.
Fraud. Whoa.
Wait, are you thinking that we believe Jesus actually raised from the dead? Like, we're Christians here? Is this your first time here? Did you think you were talking to Christians? I don't even accept that Jesus necessarily existed, let alone that he actually did all of that shit. Pontius Pilate was a Roman.
Opinion. I can respect it.
He was a Roman.
I definitely can respect the opinion.
You can respect our opinion that Jesus didn't walk on the sea and feed 1,000 people with one loaf of bread and one fish. You can respect our opinion that shit didn't happen. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for respecting our opinion.
I respect your opinion that Harry Potter didn't happen, Carlos. I respect that.
I respect it. Hey,
Carlos,
Carlos, if you think Gandalf wasn't a real guy, I respect it. That's kind of crazy. But
what religion were first century Romans?
Say that one more time.
What religion were first century Romans?
School me.
Pagans. Romans were pagans. Okay. So why, in your world, without ever done any of this very basic level research, do you have the audacity to say with confidence the Jews killed Jesus when you can't even name the ethnicity or the religion of the person who sentenced him to death?
Well, like I said, it's been a while since I've been in a religion class, but
so maybe you should have couched that before when you, instead of saying, well, that's in the Bible, the Jews killed Jesus, maybe you should have couched it with, shit, I think I remember somebody saying that, but I don't actually know who killed Jesus. Maybe you should have couched that you are saying things with ignorance instead of saying them with confidence as your and then your rebuttals back were like, wait, what? The Jews didn't? As though this was common sense knowledge.
Well, wait, to backtrack though, I think it was you that brought up the Jews. You're like, oh, you think the Jews? I didn't bring that up.
Yes, but you did then repeat it back multiple times with this tone of condescension. Like, are you not aware the Jews killed Jesus? I brought up that was an anti. Excuse me, Carlos, I brought up that this is an anti-Semitic talking point, that's what the early, that's what German Christianity did preach. And I was listing off things which were anti-Semitic. And I started with, they started with the small things like the Jews killed Jesus. And you tried to pop in and go, wait, no, that shit's based though. That is correct. So that's not anti-Semitic because that is true.
I didn't have any knowledge of that trope because then I'm not anti-Semitic for one.
I got to tell you, your goal to not seem like a Nazi, it's going poorly.
Okay, but you're framing it fucked up. But
yeah, what are your 14 favorite words?
All of that still doesn't, change any of what we're talking about in the political.
Is your favorite thing about a piano that it has 88 keys?
What's that?
A piano.
All right.
Go ahead, Austin. Now I'm just
I just think
playing with my food.
You just said, as you said,
politics.
Yeah, right. And we can't get you to talk about that either. I asked you the question. I said, okay, assuming your Nazi conspiracy theories are true, what would righteous Christianity look like, and what would good Christianity, uncorrupted Christianity look like? And you couldn't answer that question. In fact, your answer to a lot of the questions on the
not bombing, countries on behalf of other people. I think it would look like, a lot more, again, but you're going to say it's something not
based on
America first and not meddling in foreign wars.
Christianity is America first. That's a MAGA principle. That's not a Christian principle.
That's what it would look like politically.
He thought he could get away with sounding like a Nazi by saying,
if it was,
you're gonna say this sounds like I'm a Nazi, but I'm gonna say America first. It's not like that has a history in fascism. It's not like Hitler said Germany first and Mussolini said Italy first. That's not like famously like where the fascists start. Okay, so fucking ultra nationalist Nazi. Bitch.
Carlos, the thing is your answer to a lot of questions has been
being more kind, being less warmongering. That's all I'm saying.
It should look like that. It doesn't, though, in reality, and that's our point. So you can't call in and say, I think that Christianity... Yeah, you can't... First of all, you called into a show where we're talking about theism, and your answer to a lot of questions has been, it's been a long time since I've been in a religion class, so school me. And it's like, cool, maybe be a little bit more studied up before calling into something like this. And the other thing is, when you say, like, like that your whole argument is, I think Christianity should be nicer than it actually is. That's kind of our point, is like, wouldn't it be nice if Christianity didn't suck? But it does. And so it does, like,
Well, that's
and your argument is, well, the reason why it sucks is it's being corrupted by some people, and that's why everyone's calling you a Nazi in the chat. That, yeah,
Hey, Carlos. Carlos, do you believe that the world would be better if we had less wars and shit? Do you wish we would head that way? Do you also hope for the second coming of Jesus Christ?
I mean, in theory, but again, like, I don't know how much.
Do you want Jesus Christ to return?
Real. If he's real, yeah.
Okay, so biblically, you want the Christian, right. So you want wars to end and you want Jesus to come back, yeah? Does it bother you that now I'm about to blow your mind because you don't know this is the case. Does it bother you that those two things are in conflict? That the Bible actually prophesies that there
will be wars, is what you're saying?
No, well, first of all, once he comes back, the Great War begins, but actually that preceding Jesus's return, preceding the end and the second coming, that there will be many wars and rumors of wars. So actually, we would not be in a world preparing for the second coming of Jesus if he's real, if all those wars went away. And by the way, this is a lot of the Christian excuse for like, yeah, these wars have to happen, but it's also a sign of the last days. So fret not that we keep getting into wars, because we got to, so Jesus can come back.
Oh, well, then that's bullshit. I don't agree with that at all. Even if that is,
you don't agree with the Bible?
I think that's bullshit.
You don't agree with the Bible?
I don't think that you know what Christianity is, Carlos.
Talking point. I was going to say, I've never heard anyone say that we need these wars for. I thought you meant that's a political talking point, because that would be fucked up.
I don't think you know what Christianity is, Carlos. I think you called into a show where we're saying Christianity's bad for the country, and you not only don't know what
Christian. Catholic school, I went to Catholic high school, yeah.
And you don't know about the book of Revelation talking about wars and rumors of wars. You don't know about like what the return of Jesus Christ is supposed to look like. You went to Catholic school and you don't know any of this?
Those talking points as far as the wars going on right now. I don't think that anyone's really spouting that. I think largely
it doesn't matter if you think they are or aren't. They are.
It is absolutely the way Christians comfort themselves over the wars, as well as other things having to do with Israel, Gaza specifically. They absolutely think it is a biblical right.
I always thought it was more of this. I was thinking more of a world police thing, where the peacekeepers XYZ, which I think we're doing a bad
Maybe
job
that's because you're spending too much time on Reddits about what the Jews are doing, and not enough time on the conservative Reddits about how they're justifying stuff.
No, you think of it? Yeah, no, not at all.
I was kidding. I don't think it's Reddit. I think it's 4chan.
No, I've neither of those.
Has your life ever been the same since Kiwi Farms went down?
What's that?
No, don't pretend you don't know. Or were you more of an 8chan boy?
I swear to God, I don't know what that is.
You were more into 8chan?
I swear to God, I'm not. I don't know. I'm in none of it.
I think you're giving Carlos way too much credit.
Do you like drinking 2 7-Ups because next to each other it's 14?
Okay, I won't lie to you. I do know what the 88 joke was, but I shouldn't say I do it that once, because you're like, oh, no, he is. No. But, no.
I think you knew what the 88 joke was, and I think in a different room you could recite the 14 words, no problem.
No, but this was fun while I folded the laundry, man. I'll let you go.
The laundry man?
He's got to go do the laundry.
Oh, all right. You go do the laundry.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
In fairness, I have never known a person to be able to repeat Nazi talking points while doing laundry. It's a very difficult procedure to like cross do.
Yeah. He just had to get his robes back from the cleaners. You know, there's a meeting tonight, so.
I'm not a Nazi, but I'd like to do the rest of my speech in its original German.
that was a trip. That was a trip. Yeah. I really like the idea of like calling in and being like, no. Christianity is not the problem. The problem is Jewish influenced Christianity, and it's like, all right, okay, so then what is Christianity? It's like, I don't really know. To be honest, I don't really know. It's like I've never really read the Bible. I don't know anything about Christianity. I don't know who killed Jesus. I don't know who Pontius Pilate is. I don't know what the Roman Empire is. I don't know. Like, I don't know.
The funny thing is the concept of Judeo-Christian, that is a conservative created concept, or at least popularized to work in reverse. It is, hey, Jews, we're really tired of you voting for liberals. So we would love it if you would come and we would just say like, oh, we want a country. Conservatism is about conserving Judeo-Christian values, even though like what Christians are going to illegalize eating shellfish. They might bring back slavery, but that's the only thing I can think that they might like from the Old Testament.
It's kind of like,
what am I saying?
It's kind of like the talking
they already
point.
did.
It's kind of like the talking point that MAGA love to parrot on the internet, where they're like, "Did you know that America is a constitutional republic and not a democracy?"
I had that this last show.
And it's like they just like the word constitutional republic because it sounds more like Republicans, and democracy sounds more like Democrats. And like 90% of the time it genuinely is that stupid. It's just like, so it's like the same like Judeo thing. It's like, if we say Judeo-Christianity, then stupid Jews will be like, oh, that sounds like us. Like that has the word Jew in it.
If like, you're against it, you're against me. Yeah. So the stupid thing about the one you're just talking about with the Republic, just ask them to define Republic right after. That has a 100% success rate for me so far, because in practice, politically, Republic and democracy are interchangeable. You could say there are some nuances in there, but as they've actually been used historically, and certainly by the founders, they were using the word republic as a more popular term for just democracy. Instead of saying, to keep our democracy strong, they said republic because it was more popular. They're absolutely synonyms. So if you just ask a person to define it without saying the word democracy, they're literally like, or just define it. They'll just be like, well, if you had a pub and you wanted to like lick it, twice. The first time you would pub lick, the second time you would republic. That's the best they got.
Yeah, but sometimes they will just straight up be like, it's a representative system of government where the public votes on representatives to represent their interests at the level of legislation, and it's like, yes, so you are describing the definition of the word democracy, but you just like the word republic more because it is the first part of the political party that you like more. And that's so stupid that your brain...
Now, for those who follow my OnlyFans, I don't want to confuse you. When I first started on OnlyFans, I had pubes and then I got rid of them, and now I'm letting them back out again. So my OnlyFans is repubic, not republic. I don't have an OnlyFans. I just wanted to make the really, really dumb joke. All right, shall we do this last call? Because we do have a hard stop at 7 to send it back over to After Dark.
Let's do it.
Mariana, like the trench, but I bet I like you much more. Mariana, I don't even know what that means. As I said it, I was like, that almost sounds like an insult. Like you're a trench, but you're not. You're Mariana the person. Mariana, you're on the line with Jimmy and Austin.
Good night. Actually, it's here. Good night.
Hello.
Good. Yeah. I don't know what it is in Portuguese. It's not buenas noches. That was what I was going to say, and then I realized I'd sound really dumb.
It's boa noite.
Boa noite.
When sorry, my English now, I'm a little bit nervous because I generally don't talk in English. I know English, but I don't talk in English very much, so I'll be a little bit nervous.
You're doing great.
Do you want me to? Would it be better if I just read the question, or is there more you wanted to add to it?
Sorry, can you repeat, please?
Do you want me to read the question you gave the screener? I could read that if that helps you.
Please, can be a good beginning.
Yeah, so it looks like you asked, why do Americans treat their Constitution as if it were the Bible?
Yes, yes. I don't know if you know about the situation here in Brazil. Yeah, and it's a little bit similar to what is happening in the United States. But I see a lot of these discussions with MAGA and even with people that is not MAGA, it's just, you know, regular Americans. It's always about, oh, our Constitution. Our Constitution is almost they are like saying it's the word of God or something like that. And being from a country that don't have this culture, sorry, it's just like, well, why you don't just change it? If you don't like it, it's not. I'm saying that it's easy to change the Constitution. There's a lot of things to do before you change the Constitution, even in every country in the world. But that's not this religious, I don't know the word, feeling that I always feel in America. Even with I watching movies, American movies. That's this feeling.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
American nationalism definitely functions very much similarly to a religion, and especially the way it functions for American conservatives, for the right wing. And they definitely treat the Constitution very similarly to the way they treat the Bible, in that they will say with their words, they'll talk about the Constitution with this very reverent kind of, regard, that it's this divinely inspired text that imbues them with it gives their life and their identity meaning. But when you actually try to pin them down on any kind of scholarly understanding of what actually is in the Constitution, and also the fact that the Constitution was foundationally built to be changed, they're really quick to also just disregard things that are in the Constitution that they don't like, just the same as they are with the Bible, where they'll talk about the Bible with like, oh, my whole entire life gets its direction and its moral framework and foundation from the Bible. And then you point out to them things that are in the Bible that are really fucked up, and they immediately go like, oh, well, not that part though. And it's the same thing with the Constitution. It's like, well, the Constitution is the American Constitution is it's everything. And then it's like, well, what about this part of the Constitution that says that there's supposed to be a separation of church and state, and that we're not supposed to mix those two things? And they're just like, well, not that part. I don't like that part. And it's okay. They're allowed to not like parts of the Constitution. It's just the hypocritical way that they pretend that it's this infallible divine text. And then when there's things that they don't like in it, they just sort of apologetically like disregard those things, rather than talking about the Constitution as it's supposed to be, which is it's supposed to be a living document that is regularly updated and changed. And for some reason in my lifetime, it's become really, really, really hard to, and not just in my lifetime, but before I was born too, but for the last like 60, 70 years of American politics, it's become damn near impossible to change that document for better or worse.
Yeah. Only thing I'd add to it, Mariana, is I will say the Constitution is pretty dope. And it's a pretty good document. It's got some stuff we definitely should change. The Second Amendment is certainly being interpreted absolutely in crazy ways, as though our first founding fathers could even anticipate what kinds of weapons would be available to people. But the Constitution itself is pretty good, and in a weird way, probably does deserve some reverence, but shouldn't be treated as holy and unchangeable, because it was actually designed. We're supposed to be having conferences every couple decades to make sure that we are updating it to meet the needs of the people. So not only do we need to change it now, we've missed a lot of opportunities to change it, and we were supposed to. It was designed to be changed. I think that the bigger problem isn't with the Constitution, and that it is that there are lots of people who give it reverence, who are good people, and then there are the people who are trying to use it when it's convenient and then ignore it when it's not, including Donald Trump, who recently, when asked in an interview if he was going to respect the Constitution, said like, well, I don't know if I have to. We're having lawyers take a look at that. He is looking for ways to bypass it. And so it's very American to want to change the Constitution going through democratic means. It's very un-American to try to force those changes. And so it is that. It's as Austin was mentioning, Christian nationalists they're not actually like, I'm an originalist or whatever. It's that the biblical Gilead-like society I want to implement will be easier if we don't continue to change it in the direction toward benefiting society. So I'm going to pretend that they wanted everything stuck as it is. That said, Mariana, we don't have time to continue because we do have to push it over to after dark. But if you want to say goodbye to people, you can do so now.
Bye-bye. I'm sorry if I say something wrong.
No, you're good. Nope. Yeah, everything was great. Okay. Everything was great. Okay. We do got to go. We just have the next show starts literally in like 20 seconds. So we just got to let you go for that reason. Thank you, Mariana.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, you did great, Mariana. Great call. Thanks.
Yeah, Mariana's awesome. All right, stay tuned. We have the redirect on. You may have to click a button. Some of you it may redirect automatically, but the Sunday show After Dark with Forrest and Eric from Skeptics and Scoundrels is about to begin, and you should be sent over there right away. Austin, thank you for joining. You want to quick tell people what your handles are in places?
Austin Archer. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube. Austin Archer, and that's me. Thanks,
I just
everybody.
saw your new video on inventing, what did you call it? The new Labubu, but what is it called?
Yes, the Barmufu. Yeah.
Yes, go watch the Barmufu video. It's very, very funny.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, well, thank you, people. That's it for us. We will see you. I'll see you again on Tuesday. I don't know who my co-host will be, but calling it now. We'll be back on Tuesday. See you, people.